smart enough to cross-train guys and bring in other guys, like you talked about having a boxing coach. And I really believe if you're out there listening, and you know, you need to find a trainer that's willing to do those kind of things, to bring in somebody who's a little bit better at one specialized thing, and it helps. You know, you've got a good trainer then if they're not telling you they're the end all of everything. You know, they're willing to get in help to make you a better fighter. That's how you know you got a trainer that really cares about what kind of fighter you are, I think. That's my opinion.
Who is the boxing coach for St. Charles MMA?
Me.
You, okay.
Mike,
But,
congratulations.
Good job. Mike, you have Golden Gloves background yourself.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I did. I boxed for Jim Howe. But we do have. I mean, it's not just me. I'm the guy that's there most of the time. But Chad Lamar and Sean Miller, Sean John, and Steve Young. He's like a 100-time Gold Gloves champion. And who else? Fawad helps, and
Yeah, Fuad's an incredible, great stand-up fighter.
and everybody helps each other. I mean, guys come in, and Matt Ricehouse helps them, and Bobby Russell, and you know, everybody. I just have a great group of guys. There's no. I couldn't have a good team if I didn't have such good guys. Everybody's just, you know, got the right guys in the room, so everybody gets better.
That makes a difference, though. You know, the guys have the ability to cross-train, and it's like, you know, you come from a traditional background. You remember there's plenty of them old karate schools where, you know.
I'm not traditional.
No, the jiu-jitsu is
Well,
traditional.
yeah, I guess. Yeah, I come from wrestling. I did wrestling till when I was a little kid, and then I started jiu-jitsu with Rodrigo, and then I did boxing. I can't lift my leg over my hip, so I don't do any kickboxing. But I got guys that can do it, so they
that
can
was
teach.
Right,
That was
always the thing, you know, that whatever school you were going to, that guy was the end all, and you shouldn't go anywhere else or learn anything. I know Brian's gone to lots of other gyms and cross-trained and just, you know, shared knowledge and learned in the sport, and just the fellowship of training with other guys is good, you know.
Absolutely, and you know, one of the things we're seeing now in the UFC, I think, is, you know, again, it's a mixed martial art. So at first it was jiu-jitsu, just owning everything. Then you had boxing making a comeback, and now you're seeing kicking taking a big factor in every fight. And the guys who have kicking have that much ahead of their opponent. They have something in their arsenal, and where they might not have beaten one of the top guys, if they can take their legs out from underneath them. You know, I think we saw a championship change hands in the UFC as a result of that when Forrest Griffin beat Jackson. You know, I don't think, you know, if he's not a kicker and he's not kicking out the legs, Jackson, there's no doubt he's going to win that fight.
He didn't even check him. He just took him from Jardine this last time almost, too. And, I mean, I didn't even see him checking him kicks much.
I think he must have worked it afterwards and built up those legs to a certain degree. Definitely so.
Yeah.
You
wanted to talk a little bit too, Andy. You had asked me about Charles Lewis dying and masked from Tap Out.
Yeah, we want to pass on our condolences to the folks at Tap Out. You know, say what you say about those guys, whether you like them or not. I personally had a lot of respect for them and what they've done for our industry. They sponsored a lot of fighters. They brought the sport up to another level, because before them, guys were like at the amateur level. They were working full-time jobs, and there were people like Tap Out first off, who came up to these guys and actually turned them into full-time fighters. And we've seen the game go up and up and up since these guys are training full-time. So I think Tap Out, and in particular Charles Lewis, can take credit for that. So it's really kind of sad what happened.
Well, they obviously had a love for the sport, or he had a love for, and the guys at Tap Out have a love for the sport and promoting the sport itself, which, you know, is a wonderful thing. And they did try and help bring it to the masses. They did try and help fighters along the way as they grew their market. They obviously didn't and they were smart enough to do it that way. I mean, talking to a company that was in 1997, they were selling stuff out of their car at events and at local shows, and then last year they did over $50 million in revenue. So, but they are lovers of the sport, and did help try and bring the sport to the people and help the fighters along the way. So whether you like them or not, you got to appreciate that part of them if you're an MMA fan.
Jim, did you see anything on the website about guys who are sponsored? Are they trying to reassure them or anything?
No, they haven't said anything with that that I know of right now. It was just a matter of getting together the services and doing things that way. I know that most of the reports right now seem to be about the other person who ran him off the road and the fact that he's getting charged with vehicular manslaughter and DUI and everything else.
Yeah, that doesn't change anything though, does it? As far as bringing Lewis back, but well, I think this is definitely going to have a huge impact on tap out. It's just going to be interesting to see how it happens. You and I talked, maybe they'll get bought out at this point, or maybe the two main guys who are left will do a good job with it, and hopefully, or bring somebody on with the right charisma who can help lead the company in the future. Because again, I think that company has done a lot for MMA in general. So our condolences go out to those guys. The last subject I want to talk about tonight, just for a few minutes here, I want to get people's opinion, because we talked about it last week. We talked about Adam Flowers' fight against Mike. What's Mike's last name?
Courtney.
And that fight ended in the first round.
38 seconds.
About 38 seconds. And then Adam had thrown 3 or 4 kicks to Courtney's knees, and one of them landed just right.
Or three or four to his legs.
Oh, I'm sorry, knee. Oh, legs.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's not shooting at the knee.
I teach you good. Go for them knees, baby.
I didn't mean it that way. Sorry, Adam and Mike. But evidently, one, Mike lifted his leg and it hit him in the knee, and that's where he got the injury.
He went to check.
And he said, no more, I'm done. Now, I called it a tap out, but you said since the fighter couldn't go on, it was a TKO.
Couldn't continue. It makes it a technical knockout according to the rules.
Whose rules? Kicks rules or?
Correct. The sanctioning body. I mean, it's just like in any other fight. If you can't continue, it's considered a technical knockout. He didn't tap out. So tap out is a submission. It's where you actually submit.
Well, you're right. A verbal tap out is what you would have called that possibly, as opposed to tap out. But I would argue that in MMA, there is no place for a TKO because you got guys who, I mean, that defines how the fight ended. Whether he was being put in a Kimura or being punched and he said, stop, I'm done, or he was being kicked, stopped, I'm done. The other part of a TKO is if the referee stops it, right? Because the fighter can't go on. And in MMA,
stop due to strikes.
But in MMA, we call that referee stoppage. And I'm trying to see if there really is a reason why we should define the difference. Is TKO exclusive to boxing and kickboxing? We're bringing it over because it seems to me MMA has terms for these.
Well, stop due to strikes is a TKO to me, but that's because that's
You're
the terminology. There you go. That's the terminology that my head, thinks about. But I bet the fighters don't pretty much care what they call it as long as they get the win. But
no, I don't think anybody cares in the end. As long as they get the win. But I don't know.
If you've submitted everybody, it'd be nice that, and you hadn't had a knockout yet. It's kind of probably would be cool to know that it's officially called a TKO if you're a submission specialist. Just like if I was a stand-up fighter and all of a sudden I got a guillotine choke and someone called it a submission, the guy tapped, I'd be all excited about that. So that maybe that terminology does something, but a win's a win. The guy gives or he can't continue, you did your job. I've always taught my guys that it's not your job to knock them out, it's your job to knock them down. If they get up, that's on them. You just keep putting them down. If they get up, good for them.
Okay, it's semantics, but I would like other people's opinions out there, so.
What? More than mine?
Yes. And if they go to the Riverfront Radio Ground and Pound website, which they can get to at riverfrontradio.com, right on the front page, just hit on our logo. We have a comment section, and we'd love for people to make comments. I want you to make comments about that, make comments about our rankings, even though it won't change anything. The best way to change the rankings is to beat somebody on the list. That's what I say. Matt knows how that's done. Matt took care of that and became number 1, so that is how that is done. Anybody else have an opinion on TKOs? We're going to get ready to wrap this baby up.
I don't know.
No?
I could care less.
Was that a TKO the other day, or was it a stoppage due to strikes?
Of mine?
Yes, sir.
Somebody said I tapped. I didn't tap, just the word of it. I couldn't tap because I was too busy trying to keep James from punching me in the face. So if I could, I might have. But no, It does.